And in today's episode, Matthew went down to the Community Health Centre in Herbert Street, Artarmon, Sydney, Australia, to get his review by the psychiatrist there named Dr. Leech. He was one of two psychiatrists overseeing him. Not sure why he didn't get designated one, because he only sees him once every blue moon. But this one, Dr. Leech, was the one that sectioned him fraudulently, and she's now missing in action, but more on that later. This meeting took place on the 16th of November 2019, so at the end of last year. And all meetings by New South Wales Health have a JMO present, which is a transcriber. They write down everything said by all parties very fast and really don't say hi, but you'll hear him at the end, Jeremy, say hi at the end of the conversation. Matthew asked for these reports or these notes to be lifted and sent to him on multiple occasions via email and phone call, and was rejected every time by the hospital administration team, even though he has every right to have them. He took it upon his own liberty to then record conversations with his own device, given that the other team or party is recording it anyway. Why should not he have the ability or right to? Let's have a listen of the conversation.
How are you going?
Yes, the brand.
Yeah. Did you find that one?
Oh, I just want to do that. Kind of all I wanted to do.
Yeah. That's nice.
And this is the parent group. Love Unites Us.
What's it called? Love you.
Love Unites Us.
Ah, what's that?
I'll give you a business card and go to the website.
Okay.
It's about love. Love is all you need. It's a global currency. It's going to be a not-for-profit. I've already registered the IP trademarks for it, which costs $3,000. So that's going to be a parent body of like a lot of companies want to start. So this Bad Love will donate money to like Adelaide Zoo, which is a panda bear, and Wildlife Foundation when it gets big. So this kind of animal causes. So Panda Love like that, and then I'll do another company about, mental health or something else I can go to. So that'll be private businesses to make profit, but Love Unites Us would be making profit.
And are you the main person you started looking at?
Yeah, I'm one in person. Just me.
When did you get these made up?
12 months ago. Yeah, one of the first things I did.
When you go down the quarry?
Yeah.
What about the shirts and the bacon?
Oh, same time as well.
What else has been happening? You got out of hospital last week.
Yeah, I left my driving record in my car, so I figured off it cost me $33 from the RMS for servicing my wells. Because Dan said there was a story that I had a speeding fine recently, and I've got proof that I've had a speeding fine in 6 years.
Now, just for reference, at the end of this post, Matthew's official driving record is made public, which was obtained legally via the RMS, Services New South Wales. And it shows quite clearly no speeding fine recently, and from what we gather in Australian driving statistics, quite a good, excellent and impeccable driving record over his 15 or so years of driving.
But 2 speeding fines under 15 kilometers an hour in my whole 6 years of driving, my record's impeccable. I've had a no left-hand turn fine, and I've got demerit points right now, and I have for 6 years. I'm a safe driver. My dash cam did show that I was driving safely. I didn't hit anybody. And the doctor that sectioned me didn't even see me driving, so he's going off teletowels off other nurses or people that don't like me there. So I'm going to make sure he's reprimanded. I'm going to get my lawyer into it. So I'm not tolerating that shit. I've had 5 days of my life wasted in hospital. All the nurses, the paramedics, police, my father thought it was absolutely absurd. So
now we think we'll give you a bit of information on Dr. Leech, who is the psychiatrist speaking from New South Wales Health, as she sadly isn't present much in our episodes. As you can see, she now is actually MIA or missing in action. She was one that sectioned Matthew probably on the most ludicrous time and brought 4 campus security guards from emergency ward where they're mostly needed to detain him. It was a gross misuse of power, and also if Matthew was then psychotic or mentally ill, don't you think having 4 security guards in his face would make him more mentally ill or more anxious or more, not able to deal with the world as it was present? Luckily, as she may not know, the campus security guards were on his side and didn't detain him, they just walked him along, and one of them even gave him a chocolate bar, knowing that he wouldn't get fed that well in the hospital for the next few days as he visited there. So Dr. Leech, wherever you are, we hope you're okay, we forgive you, but you need to learn how to stick by the law and be ethically bound and not be so morally bankrupt and fucked up. Matthew did not need to be sectioned that time, quite clearly from the discharge summary from the psychiatrist in the inpatient ward. It was a gross misuse of power, and we think that you actually need psychiatric care yourself, whether you've got issues at home or issues in the workplace. That's not us to discuss right now. What is to discuss is to stop inflicting your suffering on patients under your care. You're not paid to make them suffer. You're paid to simply help them.
This doesn't correlate at all in terms of the Mental Health Act. I went over the Mental Health Act at home. I've got printed out, and nothing correlates there in terms of being sectioned for erratic driving, even though that was unfortunately, reason to start with. I can prove that. Both of my driving record, which is official. And then there was obviously some mania thing I'm talking about, which is, bullshit as well.
What did you think happened? Why do you think?
I saw someone there that I didn't get along with, simple as that, in the car park. And the fact that I was there at 12:15, my dash cam footage shows, and I didn't get sectioned by the police at 6 p.m. Like, I could kill myself in those 6 hours. I could have killed someone on the road. I should have been detained right then and there by campus security, because the doctor has a duty of care. I'm on his ward, and he has a duty of care like you do right now. If you thought I need to be assessed, you would call security. You wouldn't let me go home.
Now, this is the section in that will raise quite a lot of alarm bells. So much so that Matthew decided to take upon his own wheel to report it to the Healthcare Commission Board in Australia. As you'll see in a following episode, they didn't want a piece of it. They just wrote back a generic templated email to Matthew and didn't even look into the matter further, which is quite disgusting, abhorrent, and definitely against their responsibilities as a Healthcare Complaints Commission. If they don't take complaints seriously, then why are they called the Healthcare Complaints Commission and not just the Healthcare Commission? The section in that Matthew is talking about, he went to Macquarie Hospital simply to say hi to a nurse there that he was close with. He promised that nurse he would keep in touch upon discharge. He was going past the area literally and did not plan to stop at Macquarie Hospital. It was all ad hoc as he was on the main road and thought, fuck, why not? I should go say hi to her. Subsequently, he was sectioned 6 hours later. 6 hours later, not on the spot, 6 hours later, and the ambulance, paramedics, the police present did not think he warranted to be sectioned. Unfortunately, however, it was not their call. A person of a higher authority, be it a doctor at Macquarie Hospital, thought it was appropriate, so that overrules the paramedics' decision. Normally, the policy is if a bystander or a person and a citizen of Australia reports someone for being mentally ill, the paramedics get discharged or get sent to them, and they are the ones that decide if the person is mentally ill because they are the highest authority in that process. However, this time was a bit different. A doctor had sectioned Matthew, and therefore the doctor's credentials overruled the paramedics. Even though the paramedics saw Matthew for a lot longer, actually conversed with him, they don't have any right to overrule the decision, sadly. His injection dosage was put up back to the maximum dosage due to this sectioning, even though they had agreed to put it down because it wasn't warranted at such a maximum dosage. So the question is, why was it put back up when the psychiatrist in the hospital, the inpatient unit, said it wasn't required? They discharged him after a few days there, and they said he wasn't psychotic or showed any mental illness symptoms. They put it back up by default to inflict further pain upon him and just keep his brain dumbfounded and drug fucked.
Oh, of course, crossing my engagement, I've never ever thought back from it out. Like my life's a mess, you know. Been a girlfriend, had sex for 2 years, and dead. You know, if that was anyone, I would definitely feel like I'm myself. System's corrupt, you know, I've been sexually fraudulently and lost 5 days of my life. You know, the definition of fire in a sense, and a degenerate. There's no support network at all. And I'm getting more drugs and more antipsychotics, yet I haven't had a psychosis episode in 2 years by definition. It's ridiculous. I'm being over-medicated, which is kind of a unit of extreme hurt points. Like, eventually could be a jail sentence or hard as to be court or want to. Because by definition, against psychotics, the manufacturer said the 1% of people on them with suicide. They actually use that on their manufacturers to pay side effect sheet, but that's lesser created. So I should be on that, something like that. Usually I'm psychotic, I don't have outbursts, I don't attack people, I don't have suicidal thoughts to the extreme. So, you know, there's officially tendencies of me committing suicide because the drugs I'm in this of you and each drug dose got increased for no reason at all. Therefore, my likelihood of committing suicide by definition will increase. And this is from the official manufacturer's fact sheet. You can't deny the facts. That 1% of people on these who commit suicide, they're just crying above average hate when they die, saying, oh, overdose heroin. No, then killing themselves because they're somebody's.
You mentioned the support network or when you get around that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about like, you know, you've got Dan now.
Yeah, but Dan doesn't want everything now he's getting. He's a psychologist, he's not a psychiatrist. He's probably been sexually about to bullshit as well.
Oh,
Like some of that.
helping with a lot of stuff,
No, he can't do anything, his hands are tied.
like the DSP.
The DSP, or known as the Disability Support Pension, which is given to people of disability or illness that have been treated, diagnosed and stabilized, the 3 key words in their dictionary, and you get somewhat $1,100 a fortnight pension. Now Matthew wasn't on this at the time, hadn't really even thought about it. However, all his fellow patients at the hospital were on it and reaping the money, but Matthew did not get it and did not want to be leeching off the government, never has in his life and never wanted to. But Dan, his case manager, was asked by the treating team to apply for it on his behalf. Matthew thought that was good. He could have more money to invest in his business ideas and ventures. Sadly, however, Dr. Shelley, the treating psychiatrist for Matthew and still is to this day, ceased Dan's operation to apply on Matthew's behalf for the disability support pension because, I quote, he does not need it. Now, it's not up to her to decide if I need it financially, in the sense, do I have a support network in my family like my father that can pay for all my necessities and needs in my life. It's not means tested, the DSP. You're tested upon, are you suitable, have you been treated, diagnosed and stabilized? Well, Dr. Shelley, you're treating me with the maximum dosage of the most heavy antipsychotic drug known to humankind. Therefore, I believe I am pretty much not suitable to be eligible to be employed. The side effects of these drugs, as everyone gets, they're not common, they are given to everyone, is heavy sleepiness and sedation. How can I therefore work in the workplace and do a normal 8-hour day if I'm heavily sedated? It does not make sense. Why are other patients given to this on a less acute level of mental illness, but not Matthew. It does not make sense. Why am I not suitable for the DSP when you are treating me like I am? You're treating me with heavy antipsychotics and mood stabilizer drugs, the most heavy and severe known to humankind. You've diagnosed me in the system as schizophrenic and bipolar, which is schizoaffective disorder. So if Matthew is not diagnosed or being treated for symptoms that make it eligible for the disability support pension, then who the fuck really is? It does not make sense. Unless you have something in it for Matthew, you're bullying him, you're victimizing him, or you're being paid off just to make his life hell. Which one is it? Or is it D, all of the above?
That's taken like 4 days now, I asked him, so
But I hate that being there and helping him.
that's no, don't get me wrong. Yeah, he's blessing his skies, but his hand tied with all the things that actually matter. Unfortunately.
What about some of the, I guess, what are some of the quick
Not much. No, I need the funding still. On this Christmas rush, and next aim is to get it launched and advertised ready for Valentine's Day. That's realistic.
some plans?
That's going to be
Now, we haven't really touched base on this much, but Matthew spent a few months of his life making a website and e-commerce platform called PandaLove, which can be seen still at www.pandalove.com.au. He invested up to $20,000 of his own money into the venture, got custom design, print, and apparel made. As you'll see from the website, he's coded quite nicely. It has worldwide shipping rates live, integrated FAQ platforms, very nice about page, and custom images made by his designer. The website he hoped to get funding for by various startup networks but failed, and it's just sitting there now waiting to be invested into, as the financial forecasts he had made in detail showed a very high profit within the first 12 months of operation and a high sustainable growth rate throughout the following years. So we won't touch on that much more. It's just one of his many business venture ideas in the pipeline, but this one definitely took up a lot of time in his life during the post-discharge from Fig Tree Unit Macquarie Hospital at the start of 2019.
be good, but once again, like, got the money.
Okay,
No, don't put you in, it's fine. Like extra still from my husband to it.
that's quite a big step going back to uni.
All in one service, it's too tired from work.
Maybe it's now a good time to do it.
Yeah.
And, well, yeah, I think with those things, business and going back to uni, positive things.
Imagine being section 4 generally during my exam period, because I'm driving erratically and it's ridiculous. Well, where you are.
Is there anything at the moment that our team that you'd like help with or support for?
Just treating them like their patients, stop discriminating and punishing them. There's people in the community on CTOs that are taking drugs every day, they come in doing a urine screening, but I know for that. And actually, if you're down well, they form to themselves, you know, they have psychotic symptoms. I know these people from the quarry. Like they are people that need to be treated well and proper. And all you guys see the first one is me. I'm never smoking myself, even when I'm on ice for days on end. I never hurt things. All my psychosis is tangible stuff.
I know you feel that you've been unfair.
I've approved these people, you know,
So I know them well. They're still taking drugs every day, and they don't get assessed as often, and they don't get screened at all, and they get their doses lowered.
I guess it's another
Well, they're happy to testify and say like they're getting a lower increase in their medication, yet they're still taking drugs every day. Because I've been testing negative and all I can get is a drug increase. It goes against the National Health Act. Over medicating, simple as that. Don't worry, though, we'll sort it out. That's all right. Hopefully the other time. It'd be good to have the same people over and over instead of different people, so you get to know. Oh, so you're Dan representing.
So I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. You told me it was busy.
But I'll probably see you at some of the visits.
Okay.
And you met Jeremy and me before.
Yeah, I know Jeremy.
Just to make a point, Jeremy is the person we mentioned at the start of the recording. He is the New South Wales Health JMO. He pretty much sits in the conversation silently on his laptop, typing away, writing what each party says.
Yeah. I guess our team wants to work with you, Matthew, in finding treatment that is, good for you and going to get you, to where you want to be able
Well,
to
the
get
fact that I also increased 50 milligrams, and the whole reason was like, please, we've been speaking in Macquarie Hospital and we agreed that it should be increased. The guy at Macquarie Hospital never even saw me driving. He saw me for 1 minute, shook my hand, asked me how I was, asked me how Dad was, asked what I was doing in my life. Therefore, you don't want to work with me. I've proven that by the reason I just gave. I was given an increase in medication when I actually asked Dan to get it decreased. So that's not working with me, that's punishing me. There's no legally or medically backed reason why it should be increased. I wasn't driving erratically, I've proven that in my driving record, I've proven that in my dash cam footage that I can show you. I go to my car and have my driving record, that's in the car.
Oh,
So I've had 2 speeding fines under 15 kilometres an hour in 15 years, that's perfectly annoying. You don't get that with someone that was sectioned to drive erratically. And that's from the surgeon as well. That can be legally used as evidence in court. I've printed it off. It's an official declaration signed by the RMS. That's why it costs money.
I don't need to say that now. I understand you've got it. Maybe you can bring it in and show it.
I'm just,
She doesn't need to see it, but she really should have asked to see it because she was a psychiatrist doing the review at the meeting and is the one that has the authority to change Matthew's medication. If he's offering evidence by the RMS that could be legally used in court as an official declaration of someone's their demerit points history, shouldn't she ask to see it to see and correlate, is this dosage increase correct, or was it done under false pretenses or miscommunication from the team at Macquarie Hospital that said he was driving erratically? Because surely a demerit point history would show Matthew's driving record and history over the 15 years of driving, and if that shows that he's a safe driver, also having done 2 safe driving courses when he was 20 from a Mercedes that his father put him and his sister through, surely that would overrule a driving erratically decision by someone at Macquarie Hospital that just had it in for him and did not like him. Once again, victimised, bullied, and gross misconduct by the team at New South Wales Health.